Good morning, everybody. We're live here from the birdhouse. It is Saturday, May 18th, and we are still in migration time. So there's all kinds of fun stuff out there to see and hear. As always, we want to know what kind of things you're seeing in your backyard or as you're outdoors. So definitely put all that in the comments. If you have any questions, you can throw those in there. Or you can just say hi. We had a bird walk on Tuesday, so we weren't live on Tuesday, but we had some pretty good sightings there of Baltimore Oriole, including a Baltimore Oriole on a nest, which was really cool, and some great crested flycatcher, which was a lot of fun. So there's lots of fun stuff out there. And like I said, it's still migration time, and this month, at least here where I am in Western New York, on average, you can see about 238 different species around here. So there's a lot going around, and those are just the birds. Everything else is stirring too. We also saw a snake on the walk the other day. But this is a migration map, so I thought I would pull this up. This is from Birdcast that is put together by the Cornell Lab of Ornithology, and it's a predictor of bird migration. And because these birds migrate at night, this is what the projected migration is. And you can see the lighter the color is, the more migration there is. So we're still getting some migration going through in the middle of the country. It's quite strong, but we still have some migration going through this area too. So this is the predicted map of migration from this evening going into Sunday, which is the 19th, and then Sunday going into Monday, and then the night of Monday going into Tuesday. So you can still see there's still some movement going around, but it'll start to fizzle over the next couple of weeks as the birds start kind of hunkering down and starting to nest and lay their eggs and incubate their eggs. So probably start to hear lots of them at least. But speaking of hearing birds, I've had the loudest Nashville warbler singing its little heart out in my neighborhood over the past week or so. It is singing its little heart out. So that's been kind of the coolest thing I've been hearing. I haven't seen it yet, but it has been singing every single morning and even into the afternoon. So that's been a lot of fun. The white-crowned sparrows in my yard seem to have moved on, but I've got this very chatty Nashville warbler. And a lot of you guys are having great luck with Orioles again this year, which is awesome. And you've been sending in your photos of the Orioles going crazy for the jelly. And we have something called birdberry jelly here, or the bird jelly, which is in the glass cups or the glass jars. The Orioles love grape jelly, so giving them any kind of jelly with grape, or the birdberry jelly is a mix of grape and blackberry. They absolutely love that. That is your best bet at keeping them coming, at least this time of the year, as they start sitting on their eggs. And once those eggs hatch, they go for a lot of insects. So that's when you want to switch over to mealworms or start incorporating mealworms into your backyard feeding area. And that's going to be your best bet at keeping the birds coming all summer long as far as the Orioles go. We also have the nectar concentrates and the ready-to-use nectar as well for both the Orioles and the hummingbirds. The Orioles will drink nectar like the hummingbirds do, and the nectar we have for the Orioles, this ready-to-use nectar by the Sweet Nectar Company or Sweet Seed Company, is infused with some citrus. So they really like that. So that's a really good one. At your feeders, though, if you've got your jelly out, you might see more than Orioles. Gray catbirds are out there. I've been seeing and hearing more and more gray catbirds, and they will come to jelly as well. So also hummingbirds. People are starting to report more and more hummingbirds, so they're flowing in a little bit more. They don't seem to be as common as the Orioles again this year. Over the past few years, the hummingbird reports have been, in general, pretty sparse for people. But you can put your feeders out with that nectar. Make sure you plant red tubular plants, and that's your best bet of keeping the hummingbirds coming all year or all summer long. So they'll be here all summer through Labor Day or so. So keep an eye out for those little hummingbirds flying through your yard. And rose-breasted grosbeaks, we're getting reports of them still coming to backyard bird feeders. Here's some photos sent in by Edward, who has some rose-breasted grosbeaks coming to his safflower logs. This is the same setup I have to attract the grosbeaks. It is a seed log feeder, and I put the safflower logs on there. The safflower logs last a long time, which is great because the blackbirds don't really like it. The sparrows don't eat it as much as they will the other seed. And birds like these grosbeaks love it. The cardinals love it. So I have the same setup here like Edward has with my seed log. And the seed log that I use is the safflower seed. And he's got a couple photos here of the male rose-breasted grosbeak. And then here's the female. Really great photos there of the female. And there she is on a squirrel buster feeder. It looks like eating our chickadee blend. But yeah, some really great photos there of rose-breasted grosbeaks. And this is a picture of a couple males sent in by Stephanie, also some rose-breasted grosbeaks. Some other backyard bird sightings. This one is really cool that we got sent in by Bob, who has started a live stream in his yard, which is really, really fun. He says, quick screenshot of my live stream from this morning. A favorite visitor showed up about 2 minutes after I started the live stream today. Lower left, I had an indigo bunting show up at the feeder, along with the male bluebird and cardinal, of course. So in the bottom left corner here, that bright, bright bluebird is an indigo bunting, which is really fun to see. They do come to feeders, like they're at Bob's feeder right here. They will come to sunflower seed, sunflower hearts. They'll even come to Niger feeders. So they'll eat Niger, they'll eat millet. So keep an eye out on your bird feeders for indigo bunting passing through. And then this other blue colored bird that's on the suet feeder here, that's an eastern bluebird. And then of course there's the cardinal there on the seed log feeder. He's got the same seed log feeders there that was in that picture that Edward sent in. Really great feeder. Speaking of bluebirds, Michelle has been sending in pictures of her bluebirds. She has a pair of bluebirds that are also nesting in her yard, which is really cool. Here's a picture of the male with its bill full of some insects, but she's been keeping track of the babies. So Michelle had sent in earlier the pictures of the bluebird eggs that were tan in color, that were a little different than most bluebird eggs, but those eggs have hatched and the little bluebirds are in the nest. And this is the most recent photo of them, and you can see they're starting to get their feathers. So they're starting to grow up. It looks like there's 5 of them in there. So really, really cool photos there sent in by Michelle. Another bird to be on the lookout for, especially if you have a feeder out with sunflower hearts, or if you have a bird bath, especially a bird bath with some kind of a fountain feature or moving water feature, is going to be scarlet tanager. They're bright, bright red, and they have the black wings, at least the males do, and then the females are this yellowish color with a dark colored wing. So scarlet tanagers are flowing into the area here as well. And not only did Bob have the indigo bunting at his feeder, but Mark sent in this photo of an indigo bunting also. So he also saw one in the area. Really cool photo there, the indigo bunting singing. And here's some more photos sent in by Mark, swamp sparrow. So if you're by any kind of water, if you're by a wetland, if you're by a marsh, and you see some little sparrows hopping around, probably going to be swamp sparrows. They have a very grayish colored face, so that kind of differentiates them from, say, your typical house sparrow. And then here's a chickadee with nesting material. So the chickadees are out there nesting. Common yellowthroat. Last week, we talked a lot about warblers and all the different warblers that are around in the area, or at least a lot of warblers that are in the area. And one of them is common yellowthroat. And here's a photo of one that was sent in again by Mark. Really cool photo there. And red-eyed vireo. So we've been talking about warbling vireo and Philadelphia vireo and blue-headed vireo, but red-eyed vireos are coming back also. And so if you're using that Merlin app to identify bird songs, don't be surprised if you start hearing the red-eyed vireo. They sing a lot throughout the day, and you can find them just about any place that has woods. So like their name suggests, they do have a bright red eye, at least at maturity they do. So any kind of red-eyed vireo you'll see out there now does have a bright red eye. And keep your ears open for them because they do sing quite a bit. and so do wood thrush, which have a really gorgeous, beautiful song that you can usually hear echoing kind of through the woods. But here's a photo of a nice wood thrush sent in by Mark. And goslings are definitely out there. I've seen quite a few myself. And here's a cute photo of some goslings. And soon I'm sure we'll start to see the baby ducks, the little ducklings as well. And a bald eagle. Never gets old to see bald eagle. And this is a photo that Mark sent in over from the Erie Canal. And these were from last week, but I kept it in because it's such a cool photo of a blue-gray gnatcatcher that's on its nest. And the nest blends in so well with the tree. It's really, really cool. So a little series there of the blue-gray gnatcatcher. But one thing you can do if you want to attract some of these migrants to your yard, because a lot of them don't come to bird feeders, like the warblers, for example, put out those water features. So make sure you've got yourself a bird bath. And if you put any kind of moving water feature in it, that's fantastic. Like these solar fountain inserts that you can just put in your bird bath. And when the sun hits them, they activate a pump, which will make the water spray out, and the moving water attracts birds. Both the sight and the sound of it will help attract more birds to your backyard. And this was a video here. Let's see if I can play it, of some Cape May warblers that were going to a water feature that Michelle M sent in. So really cool. You never know what might come to your backyard water feature. And still a lot of reports of red admirals. I've seen a lot of them flying around. If you see a butterfly zipping by very, very quickly, it's probably a red admiral. There's been a lot of them out there this year. So it's been a really, really good season for the red admiral. And this is what they look like with their wings open. They're very dark with the red stripes. And then even when they're at rest with their wings up over their body, they still have a little patch of red that you can see. And they like nettles as far as their host plant goes. That's where the butterfly adults will lay their eggs. Those eggs will hatch and the caterpillars will eat the nettle. So if you do have nettle in your garden, you might want to keep a little patch and not weed it all, because the red admirals will use it as their host plant. So thank you guys for watching. If you have any comments, you can throw those in the little comment box in the comment section. It looks like I've got a few of you guys on here. Bob says, bluebird babies are about 11 days old. Mom and dad are very busy feeding. Have had a scarlet tanager singing around the neighborhood. Awesome. Also sighted an indigo bunting on my tray feeder, investigating what food was available. Really cool sightings. So he's got both the scarlet tanager and the indigo bunting. That's wonderful. Kelly is on and she says, good morning. I was just reviewing your video about bluebirds. I have a couple checking out the bluebird house we got from your store. Awesome. Yeah, it's not too late to put out your nesting boxes. I've even put nesting boxes out as late as Memorial Day weekend, and I had bluebirds going in there. I had tree swallows, especially if it's a type of bird like a bluebird that will have more than one brood or round of babies a year. There's still time to put out your nesting boxes. And Mark just sent in that photo of the chickadee with the nesting material in its bill. So we're still in nesting season. So it's not too late to put out some birdhouses, of which we have plenty at the store. Not only do we have the houses, but we have the poles and the hardware to mount everything. So whatever it is you're looking for, we can absolutely hook you up with that. Same thing with the feeders. We've got the Oriole feeders and the hummingbird feeders and all the food that you would need to feed them. And we do have the mealworms for all those hungry bluebirds and bluebird babies. And soon, as we go on into the season, the Oriole babies, we've got everything you could need as far as the bird food goes. So it looks like that's everybody's comments and questions for today. We'll be back on Tuesday with another live stream. And until then, have a wonderful weekend. Use that Merlin ID app to hear what kind of things you have around you. You'll probably be surprised about what kind of things you're seeing around your area. And let us know what kind of things you are seeing on the next broadcast. So we'll be back on Tuesday. And until then, have a great day. Bye-bye.